Right after Srila Prabhupada came to the United States in 1965, there was a tremendous spiritual outbreaking that happened in the United States. Different groups branching out from Christianity started popping up here and there. You had the Children of God, and you had Ram Dass, and so many other, the Radha Krishna temple. So my search was from one cult to another cult to another cult. Eventually, I saw that most of these were materialistically inclined, and I was really seeking to find perfection in Christ, to renounce the things of this world. And that eventually led me in 1976 to move into a cave and take up the practice of a renounced life, so to speak. I was visiting in the cities. I would get enough food in the city to last for 3 or 4 days, and then I would go back into the cave and study some, get some books, and I would go into the libraries as well. I did stumble upon one of Srila Prabhupada, the songbook that we have, in which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is quoted in there as saying that you are not this body. But with Christianity as it is, unclear about the difference between personal teachings of spirituality and impersonalism, one can very easily, taking Christianity as a path, fall into either or the other forces. So even though at one time I believed Jesus Christ was God himself, I later further believed that he being, having stated that he was the light, that God was in fact a power that was not of a personal nature. So when the term, you're not this body, when I read that in Srila Prabhupada's books without the guidance of a spiritual master, I didn't interpret it correctly. But it stayed with me for a long time. Then after some practice of renunciation for a few years, my father died, and I went to go back home with my mother, try and take care of her for a few years. So I re-entered into, you might say, the materialistic way of living. And I took up a college course. I wanted to become a social worker, and I was going to college studying psychology, and like that, I saw firsthand what was being done by the animals, especially the cows in Mesa, Arizona. They have feedlots there where they keep the cows for the last 90 days of their lives. And these animals are really badly mistreated. And so my first taste for concern of what was being done to the animals happened by first-hand account. And when I came back to take care of my mother, I saw the same thing being done in the zoo. So I had a little bit of an eccentric roommate, and I had persuaded him that to help me let these animals in the zoo go free. So I was going to the zoo to more or less see what it would be like if we could let the animals go free. And at the zoo, there was a devotee in the parking lot who was giving out Bhagavad Gitas. So she gave me a Bhagavad Gita, and of course I was very inquisitive. I wanted to know everything about the movement and what the beliefs were and everything. So I started asking questions to find out whether they're normal people or whether they're way out in left field somewhere. So I asked about marriage and different precepts like that. She said, well, come to the Sunday feast. This was Easter Good Friday in 1983. And she was inviting me to that Easter Sunday feast dinner, which was just 2 days away, or 3 days away. So I decided, well, that dinner will be just on the way to my grandparents' home who are having an Easter feast, and I'll stop there for an hour or two. So I went to the Sunday feast. They have a beautiful diorama in the Detroit temple displaying Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan with the gopis and with the gopas there in the fields. And they show him, we have the dioramas with the cows and the flowing water and the sun coming up and the moon rising also. And Krishna's there, the gopis are playing. One gopi is playing a mridanga, another gopi is playing kartals, another gopi is fanning Krishna with a chamara fan. Suddenly, Krishna's beauty was just so magnificent there. It struck me that this made so much sense. Christianity portrays God as an old being that in the beginning was all alone by himself and there was no one else, and that pretty much he's alone now except for the fact that his believers are going to be with him later after Christ returns. So I took this understanding that Krishna is eternally youthful to heart, and it made sense to me that God, all-knowing and all-powerful, that just like in our own hearts we would like to be eternally youthful and run and play, that God doing this, in fact, is a pastime for him. And when I saw Krishna there with the gopis, laying in the field with the cows, suddenly it made sense to me that God was taking the form of a young boy and having eternal pastimes as a young boy. And so I surrendered. I looked at Krishna straight in the face and I said, "Dear Lord, whatever you'd like me to do, I'll do that." So that night I shaved my head. The next morning I came to the Mangal Arti, and I called up work that morning and told them at work that I told my boss that I wasn't going to be returning to work. And I didn't go back to school, and I didn't call my parents for 3 days. They thought I had died or something. When I finally did call them, my father has left his body quite a number of years before, but my mother was a little bit distraught with me following Krishna consciousness, but eventually she came to take prasadam and accept the philosophy. I've recently, in fact, just yesterday, I put her remains, her ashes, in the Ganga here. I gave her a picture of Srila Prabhupada. Her parents had always kept a picture of Jesus Christ in their bedroom, and so I gave her a picture of Srila Prabhupada, and she put it in the same place her parents had put a picture of Christ. And she told me, she said, "You know, he's very nice." So I have great faith and hope that Krishna, with his love and compassion for all living entities, as he promises in the Bhagavad Gita, those that serve him with loving devotion, that he will have a special place prepared for them. Now we can be assured that Krishna is true to his words. By application of Krishna consciousness, I've come to find a sublimity in life that I know I would never have found before anywhere else. And now, surrendering to Krishna consciousness, I have so many friends. I can go throughout the world, and I know that I can make friends with anyone in any of the temples, Krishna conscious temples that Srila Prabhupada has established throughout the world, and feel as though I am right in the midst of family members. So basically that's how I came to Krishna consciousness. Jai.